Okay. So as you can see, this is the web-based version of eNVD. And what we've done recently, these changes were released last year, is allow the ability for both the sender and the receiver to add a consignment or an eNVD, the individual device numbers. Um, the reasons around this are kind of twofold, I suppose. From a sender's perspective, um, if you're sending or creating a consignment through eNVD, you have the opportunity to add those devices when you create the consignment, and we do a quick validation of those devices against the NLIS database, and we can call back some kind of common problems that usually kind of pop up when people try and do the transfers. I'll show you an example of that, but basically, what I mean is that you as the sender can check to make sure that those devices are on your property already, that you're actually sending the right type of device. So we can check the species. So if you're doing a consignment for sheep or goat, we can check that that device is logged as a sheep or goat device within NLIS, and also just check to make sure that it hasn't kind of gone through the system and hasn't been marked as deceased or any of those kind of really basic checks. And what that does is that plays that back to you as soon as you add those devices, you can pick up those errors, amend them before you do the consignment, so that you're confident that when you do create the eNVD and you send it off to the destination, that the device information is accurate and up to date. And then as the second part of the demonstration, I'll do as part of as a receiver, so someone getting a consignment through eNVD, and the major benefit of that is we can do what just George did and demonstrated through NLIS. We can actually facilitate that P2P movement through eNVD. So if you're just interacting with eNVD, you don't have to log out, go into another system, do the movement, and come back again. So it's just a little helper to make that process a little bit seamless. As we know that the industry is adjusting to the devices coming on to each of the individual animals. So what you can see here is just a couple of consignments that I'm moving today that I've already created. And we have these little visual indicators around the analyze movement to help you through the process. But what I'll do is I'll just go down to this draft consignment that I've created. I'll show how you can add the devices and the steps that you take and the validations, so you can see them firsthand. And then, as I said, the second part I'll log in as a receiver and show you what it looks like from that end. So you can see that there's a draft consignment that we're moving tomorrow. You To add the devices, we just go to the options menu, and just to add, this is only available within the web. So if you're using the eNVD app, it's not there at the moment. We are just kind of bedding it down and testing it through the web first before we extend it out to all the different platforms that we have available. We have an option here to add analyze devices. So we just click on that, and it will throw up this page to ask you how you want to add the devices. We give you two options. One, we can upload from a file. We do take in most of the common formats from most of the readers, but it's a very basic file. You can just add each of the RFIDs as George mentioned, comes from a reader. Or if you have a visual representation of those devices, it will also take on that visual reference where the pick is at the start. So we can upload a file with that information, or we can add it manually. So you can just cut and paste that information from wherever you hold it within your own processes on farm. For this demonstration, I'll just upload a file. So it's just simple. Choose a file which pops up a folder that you might have on your computer. For this first example, I'll load a file in that will kind of play back some errors so that you can see how we do the validation. Once a file is loaded, you can see it's loaded here. You just go on the next step. It goes and has a look at NLIS and plays back. So we can see with this file, we've detected an error and a couple of warnings. So what do they mean? So if you load in I don't know, like a scan from a tag that NLIS doesn't recognize, we'll can play that back and say it's an invalid ID. So you need to recheck it. So you can either delete that from the consignment, it's just added in error, or go and amend it. Um, the second validation, as I mentioned, these ones here are saying that the IDs that you loaded are not currently registered to your pick from the from pick. So what that means is that you may have had animals from another pick, they've come onto your pick, you haven't done the transfer. This is playing that back to say, hey, you need to do the transfer onto your pick before you try and move them off. So that's quite important for lifetime traceability and things like that. So it's quite an important warning to amend before you go through with the consignment. So as you can see, there's a bunch of errors here. The other warning that as I mentioned too, I've loaded in a cattle tag and it's a sheep consignment, so that'll call that out as well. So um, some farms, like you guys will know, you might have multiple species on there. The IDs can get mixed up in the read, or things like that. So we can call that out, and you have a chance to amend it. So if I don't like that, I'll for this demonstration, I'll delete them all and just reload them again. Just ask you make sure that you're okay with that. So we can go in and add the devices again, and this time I'll add a file that'll go through okay. So just go through the same process. It's loaded up. Next step, it does the validation, and then it says, yep, great, no issues detected here. So all the IDs that we've loaded, they're all sheep, they're all on my pick. There's no other statuses that are coming back that are going to cause any issues. So they're ready to go. They're all loaded on that consignment, ready to be consumed by the receiver. So if I then have a look at, and just to give you an idea of where we're going with this, we're looking at this year to add that detail through this consignment so it can be consumed by processors and sale yards. So that's quite valuable. They have big third-party systems that they ingest the data. So that gives them those destinations a front runner for these devices, which is really good. So what I'll do is, I'll do is I'll have a look at this eNVD. I'll close it off. Won't just give it a double check that that's all good. Once it's okay, what I'll do is I'll then choose to submit that consignment. So what I do is I'll just go through that. It's all good. And what I want to do is push that through. Okay. All right, so now we've got that consignment up here and it's ready to go. The devices have been added, and that indicates that it's ready for a movement. So now I'll switch to the persona of someone who is receiving the consignment. Now it's really important when you're looking at eNVD, to do the movement, we need to make sure that you're acting on behalf of the NLIS account that you have. So as George mentioned, you'll have an LPA login and accreditation, but you also have an NLIS one. And as he mentioned, if you link them both through MyMLA, they'll both be available within this view. So if I go and have a look at the destination pick, which is this guy here, I will see that I'll see an incoming consignment that I just created. I know that it's submitted, but also I will need to switch to the um, the the NLIS ID to make sure that I can then do the movement. So to do that, I've got a bunch here just for testing purposes, but you can visually see this from the NLIS. So if I switch to that, I can then see this consignment, and also the details related to it. So you can see that in this instance, this movement has already been complete, and that means that I've done the movement through eNVD, and I can view the details of it. Now, if I want to link that back to the upload ID that George mentioned before to double check that that movement has been done, I get a visual confirmation here that the movement is complete, but also get that upload ID reference that he mentioned. So I can go back and check in the NLIS database that that ID has been updated correctly and the movement has been done. Um, I also have a visual reference here that it's been moved. So if I'm looking at it from a sender's perspective, and I want to check that I've sent these animals off to someone, and I want to check that they've done the transfer and they've done the transfer through eNVD, I can see it's visually moved here as well. So I can safely say that that full transfer has happened between me as the sender of the consignment and the receiver as doing it.